Jaxson, when you guys win and when you guys lose, fans ride such an emotional roller coaster. And the last thing they saw was either the best thing they ever saw or the worst thing they ever saw. How do you avoid that, and how do you help this team avoid that roller coaster?
Yeah, I don't think that's abnormal from like a fan base. It's kind of just how it is in sports and really anything. So, for us, we obviously it stings for a little bit, but we got to move on. We can't let it affect the next game and next moment. So we got to be present. We got to learn from our mistakes, acknowledge some of the good things that we did, and just try to perfect our craft in any way that we can.
How do you look at playing a team for the second time?
Yeah, I mean, especially this quick of a turnaround. I don't think I've ever done that before. So, each team is going to make a lot of adjustments on, what we saw 2 weeks ago, and it's just going to be a game of chess. And we're going to have to figure out what they're doing early. They're going to figure out what we're doing early. And it's just going to be a game of constant adjustments.
I think one of the things that stands out about you is how calm you seem to stay in the pocket's collapsing. You keep your eyes up, you find ways to escape. Is that something you developed? Is that something you just kind of always naturally had?
I feel like I've kind of always had that a little bit. I have no problem, sitting in the pocket and taking a hit, when I have to deliver the ball, and the same goes when I have to extend it. So my mentality stays the same. I want to attack, but also be smart. So I try my best to do that. And, when things break down, try to make a play. But I feel like it's, kind of just been how my play style since I was just a little kid.
Does that apply to the larger game too? Like obviously on Sunday, you make the mistake with the interception, you come right back with the big 4th and 19 pass. Not every quarterback can do it, and I'm assuming that's harder than I think to put that out of your mind. Was that something you had to learn to do, or that you've just always been able to do?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a shift of emotions when you make a mistake like that. But, when things panned out the way that it did, I felt like, I didn't have doubts on if we were going to, lose the game. I felt like if we had the ball and we're going to be able to make some plays down the field, and guys, O-line did a good job, receivers did a good job coming back to the ball, and I just felt confident, with the ball in my hand.
Do you even know like how you keep your composure, or is it just something that you do? You know what I mean? Like, is there a trick to staying calm in a situation like that?
I think that when you've been put in, high pressure moments for a lot of your career since you were a kid, you kind of find those moments enjoyable, and at the same time, it's, when I watched, the best players in the world when I was a kid, that's what they were doing. So I think it's exciting to have the ball in your hands in those situations.
What have you heard, and Philly's known as a pretty difficult environment to play in. What have you heard from guys about what that's going to be like, and what are your expectations on that?
Yeah, it's going to be intense for sure. I can't wait to go out there and compete, and kind of just feel like the hostility in the air, and the rivalry between the two organizations. It's going to be really cool, and I kind of compare it to like an SEC rivalry. So really excited for the atmosphere. I know it's going to be intense, but just excited for it.
You seem to like that, sort of play the villain and kind of role kind of deal. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I mean, I think anybody finds it enjoyable when you're able to win games on the road, and that's something that we haven't done yet. So we're still chasing that, and I'm just excited for the environment.
You mentioned before about you've never had to play a team twice in 3 weeks.
Yep.
How do you assume that's going to be? You said it's a chess match and things like that. I mean, a lot of these teams, when they after they play you, some of the defensive players say, "Oh, he was pretty good. He's maybe better than we thought." They know you now a little bit, but you know them a little bit.
Right.
So where's the advantage there?
I don't think there's really too much of an advantage for either team. It's just going to be the guys who execute their schemes at the highest level. So it's important that, for us, that we put together a really good game plan, and also have an open mind that during the game, they might do things that we didn't really expect them to do, and they're going to be thinking the exact same thing. So, like I said, it's a game of chess.
Jaxson, sometimes you look at an offense, you get to this point in the season, you say, okay, not that they're tapped out, but how much higher can the ceiling be for an offense? For you and working within this offense now going into start 5, Where do you guys feel like you are in terms of your potential and what you can still do as far as finding yourselves and production-wise?
Yeah, I think, the biggest key is, obviously ball security. That's the biggest focus. But I feel like as an offense, we've gotten better each week. We've been able to, play efficient, not have too many negative plays, which I think has helped us in situations. But, I think our goal is just to try to get better each and every week, just like anything else. And, we get to go on the road and play against, a great opponent. So it's going to be a good test for us.
You're changing a lot of plays at the line on Sunday. Just what's the process there? Is Mike in your ear? I know up until 15 seconds. While you're doing that, is he in your ear? Or is that strictly you seeing things and you're making those changes? How does that process work?
Well, it's both, because, a lot of times, in those situations, you have to make adjustments when it turns off. So, I think that we just are able to see things the same way, and, credit goes to them for, getting us prepared to go out there on the field, because, when the checks are needed to be made, I know the exact look, what needs to happen, and, that kind of all that stuff just comes from game planning.
Were you very conscious last week? Did you sense that the Broncos were doing everything they could to limit your running game, your personal scrambling running?
Yeah, I think they did a good job. We knew going into that game, how good their defense was. So, I thought they did a good job. You kind of just out there just playing ball a little bit. They're trying to still get sacks at the same time, but I felt like they were trying to keep me in the pocket a little bit. But yeah, it was cool to go against that kind of caliber of a defense for sure.
After a certain amount of time, defenses think they have a book on a guy. So you think when people looked at you and they said, "Look, this guy's hurting teams with his legs," much like Jalen Hurts or other guys do, we have to stop that. Is that like the next challenge when they say, "Okay, we're going to stop that because he's really good at that"? Then you have to either do it anyway or find something else.
Well, I hope throughout my career that's never the case where teams have a book on me. I try to find tendencies in my game and make adjustments that need to be made, but at the same time, playmakers just find ways to make plays, and I think that's kind of been my mindset. I want to be a point guard of the offense, but when things break down, I want to be able to extend plays and give my team the best chance to have success.
We got 2 more after this. 3.
Jaxson, I've heard a lot of athletes talk about the ability to flush a game behind, ability to turn the page quickly, especially following a loss. How do you approach it?
That exact same way. I pride myself on trying not to let things in the past affect what I'm going to do in the future, and as a team, we can't let that happen. We can't. We got to find ways to finish games. We got to find ways to win games. And get on a roll. So we have to be very present in each moment that we have. We have to play each game individually as hard as we can to, make sure that things, like last week don't happen. But I think, for me, I'm just trying to, I think it's just a sign that, we all need to work harder. We need to pay attention more to the little details as we go about our business. And I think of that way myself. What can I do to improve, each day, and to make sure things like that or little things during the game don't slip. So I think that's just kind of been the message around the locker room.
We talked about kind of extending plays. How much does that kind of get you going? Like that, I'm thinking that play to Wandale in the first quarter, offense wasn't really doing much. You make that play, and it seemed like you guys got in a rhythm. Does that truly give you a spark when you make a play like that?
Yeah, I think it's really big to get your first down of every drive. That's so important. To kind of just get into a rhythm of the offense. And, I felt like early on in the game, we didn't do a really good job on first down, which kind of put us in hard situations being in second long and third and long. So when we were able to, get that first down, we were able to, kind of move fast and put the defense a little bit on their heels. So it's definitely very important to be effective on first down and get that, those first 10 yards.
Most hostile situation you've been in? Was it your classic rivalry? You said you feel the hostility in the air.
Yeah.
What's the most hostile air you've ever felt?
Probably like road games in the SEC.
Anyone in particular?
I mean, LSU's intense, Georgia's intense, Alabama's intense, Auburn's intense. You guys want me to keep going? Or?
And anything personally intense where they were after the star quarterback on the other team a little more personally?
Yeah, I mean, in pre-games, that's kind of just the cool thing about sports is you're able to go into environments. Usually it's the away teams warming up right in front of the student section of the opposing team. And, there's a ton of chirping, and that just kind of builds the environment. So, those are fun things to be a part of for sure.
You like to hear it, or you tune it out?
No, I like to hear it.
You do?
I like to hear it.
You
for
use
sure.
it as motivation?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, amps up the intensity, amps up the moment. And, it's a lot more fun to play in front of that and to play in front of, no one at all. So.